This has been Strictly Ball Business.
Strictly ball business.
Strictly ball business.
I like that video.
Ah, shit.
Now we're going to get into top 5 underrated players. I really like this topic. I love all my underrated players. Some of my favorites in the NBA. But I want to hear who your number 5.
Yes, I have my list here of top 5 underrated players. And funny enough, my number 5, I don't know if it would be a surprise to you if it's a guy you have on your list, but I think he's underrated for a couple reasons. And one of them mainly because his big brother has taken all the spotlight from him, and he hasn't gotten a chance to really, prove who he is outside of his shadow. And that's why, Seth Curry is my number 5. I think, he's stepped up considerably the last couple of years in his growth as he's gone from the Sixers and now to the Nets. And the Mavericks before that, he's really become a consistent scorer. 15 points per game and 42% from 3. Like, you can't really ask for much more from that from a role player like that. That's what you need.
Oh, yeah. For sure. I think he's definitely top 10. He's not in my top 5, but he's one of the, he's kind of built that archetype for that role that you have to have. You have to fill that role on a championship team now. Is that just the off-ball shooter that's going to give you 17 a game that just runs around. He built it right now. I'd say he's the leading guy. He didn't build it, but that Robert Horry type role that you have to fill on a championship team, and he kind of sets the archetype for the NBA right now.
Yeah, I definitely think there's plenty of good scorers in the NBA right now, but as one who's been consistent and getting better each year, I haven't seen many other than Seth Curry, and he's managed to stay available in late game matchups. So he's valuable. He's not a bad enough defender where he can't be on the court, and he's obviously better than a guy like Duncan Robinson who can't stay on the floor. So I just appreciate seeing the consistency and the hard work.
No, for sure. My 5 was. Not enough people talk about him. He made an all-star team. Yeah, that's recognizable, but still nobody talked about him. Is Jared Allen. I think he's obviously a huge part of why the Cavs were successful then and now, and he does everything right. I think he's a great star to have, but nobody talks about him.
Yeah, Jared Allen is my number 4. 16 points, 10 rebounds. It's like his averages, but like getting the All-Star appearance last year, becoming such a threat with Darius Garland, like it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah,
the dude is a stud, bonafide stud.
Bonafide, yeah. And I loved all of his highlights when he was with the Nets. He was just blocking everyone that season. LeBron, everyone. Yeah. Nobody was safe. The Fro.
He's fiended. My number 4. I don't know if this is a guy in your top 5 either, but he's a guy who started last year, and this year I think might be a 6th man. He might start. Kind of depends on what his new team needs from him. But his name's Malcolm Brogdon, and almost a 20-point per game scorer. He dishes the rock while he's a great teammate, and he even has brought recognizability to women in basketball, as he is the only player in the association with a woman for his representation.
Yeah. I love the president. He's great. He's awesome. He's also my number 4. Very underrated player. He's one of the best all-around guards you can get out there. Defense, shooting. Not volume 3-point shooting, but you still get the score. He's still a crafty player. The Bucks were chastised for a year and a half because they kept the wrong point guard. They kept Bledsoe and traded away Brogdon when they should have done the other way around. So, granted, they might not have won a championship. We don't know, but he's great. He's awesome. I think Boston. He was such a steal for Boston. They got him for nothing, and I think he might put him over the top. He's exactly their missing piece. He's a very, very quiet leader, but solid guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I meant he was my 3rd. So yeah, you because because I had Allen as my 4th. So, definitely excited to see what he's going to do on Boston. I'm excited to see him more in the spotlight because I feel like he's been kind of forgotten about, since he's been in Indiana.
Yeah, he's been injured a lot of that time too. And last year they kind of like had him in, and they didn't really want to play him with Halliburton. Like he would like stub his toe in practice. They'd be like, "Oh, foot injury, he's out." He's like, "I can play. I can play, guys. It's just my foot." They're like, "Nope, get out, Tyrese. You get like 30 more minutes." He's sweating with his iron lung in the back, but yeah, solid guy. My 3rd pick. I feel like a lot of people don't consider him an underrated player. Because he's excited. Is DeAaron Fox. He's my number 3. He's awesome. 26 points per game last season. Though. Yeah, not enough people talk about it. I mean, he's not. When people talk stars or superstars, nobody talks about him. And I get he has this shooting issue, and they kind of like sell him off on that. But I mean, 29% from 3 is pretty bad. But clearly, the guy's good at offense. I mean, he scores 26 last year, 23 this year, 6 assists a game. I mean, the guy, and he pushes the pace of this Kings team. He's not the reason. And a lot of people like to think that Tyrese Halliburton is better than him. I think he's a better offensive player than Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton just doesn't have the aggression nor like the self scoring to enable that. And like, DeAaron Fox isn't a bad playmaker at all. Also, they both struggle on defense. Halliburton's probably more equipped to be better at defense, but Fox, he can be better. He has all the physicals to be it. I think he just needs the right coach.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely fair. I mean, he's had his rotation of coaches. I think he definitely has all-star potential, and he's already put up the numbers that an all-star would. I think they just need to have the full team put it together. They've got some solid players. This could be the year they make the playoffs, but they still feel like they're missing something. I don't know. We'll see what they do in a full year with Sabonis and Mitchell Mitchell and Fox.
Yep, Mitchell, Fox, Barnes, I think, is their 3rd star. I'd like to see them get a real nice, like an elite defensive player. I mean, they went out and got shooting. I think their offense is going to be solid this year. They got Herter. They got Monk. They got who? I'm blanking on his name. They got another really nice shooter, DiVincenzo. No, they didn't get DiVincenzo. They got him in the trade last year. But yeah, Herter and Monk, great shooters. I'm excited to see what they can do next to. I think somebody's going to be playing for that 2 guard, even though I like Mitchell.
Coming in as their replacement from DiVincenzo, who just didn't work out there like they would hope. But definitely think they have some higher potential this year.
Sure. Who's your 2?
My 2, big sir, is Desmond Bane. 18 points per game, 43.5% from 3 rather. Hard. You could say maybe he's not underrated, but I still think people don't talk enough about his potential. I mean, his scoring potential at this age with his defense that he can put in, he could be a star in this league. I mean, I can easily see him getting to 23 points per game within a couple of years.
Oh yeah,
and yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's what it takes to be stardom. If he's got to do more than that, but I think he's got the potential to figure it out.
Yeah, I think he has the potential to be a star. We talked about it. We both think that he's going to have a really good career. I don't actually think he's underrated. I saw a lot of people did think when I was doing my research that he was an underrated player. 2 years in, I mean, like, I really don't like to consider somebody 2 years in that they're underrated from there. I think it takes some while for them submitting their role, and I think he still has some growth before we even can know what his actual rate is, before we can even underrate him or overrate him. So I didn't include him on mine, but no, solid player, and like I foresee him getting better. Does he have the potential? Plays for Memphis. We'll see how relevant they'll be, but he plays next to Ja, so I think he might always be underrated, just compared to Ja constantly, and that's not going to be fair to someone's career. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the underration, that's part of my calculation, you know what I'm saying? But I think that Desmond Bane can be a star. Will he be a star with John Morant? Who knows? But they'll be relevant because I mean, they had the 2nd seed last year. I don't see them missing the playoffs this year. If they do, that'd be a pretty big fall off.
Yeah, it would. That would be a huge disappointment. But so my two.
Who's your next guy?
So my two is the great guy, Jakob Poeltl. We talk about him. He has a game named after him. We love it. He's great. Does everything you need out of big man. I think he can always be a starting center just about on every team. I mean, 14 points per game, 10 rebounds. You get 1.5 blocks. You don't get any shoot. Actually, last season he had 100% 3-point shooting, but that's only because he shot like once. and then he happened to make it. But 61% from a big man that doesn't shoot, 61% is perfect. We'll get into that with another topic. But he's great. What do you think of Jakob?
Yeah, I love Jakob Poeltl. I think people don't realize the numbers that he does put up, and his per 36 is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And, you got to love a guy who's played under Popovich. I think once Popovich is gone, this is going to be a guy who gets a huge contract if he leaves the Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, deservedly so, too. I don't think he can ever get close to 20 points per game, but I think he can do everything else for you. Really lock down the paint. Great traditional big. Fundamentals, perfect. That's what you get out of a pop big. Well, you want to tell me your first?
Yeah, I mean, I think...
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You got more? You can talk
my
more.
First, no, that's okay. No, it's okay. I mean, all I was going to say is that Jakob Poeltl, I think would work out really well next to a shooting power forward, obviously, ideally, or a shooting center, one of those two. But I think easier said than done on that. I don't know if that fits out there, but if I'm a team who's already got that guy and needs another rebounding and post force, I would try to get Jakob Poeltl.
Cat.
Yeah, but Cat got Gobert, so
after Gobert, we'll get Poeltl.
Yeah,
Poeltl.
If he like that would have been the next option. If they didn't get Gobert, they would have been like, oh, maybe Jakob Poeltl. I guess we'll give him 3 first-round picks for that.
3 first-round picks. Oh, that'd be terrible, but we'll see what terrible is soon. But for now, we're going to hear your first pick. Who's the most underrated player in the NBA, Alec?
Oh, the person who gets this title for me is the most underrated player in the NBA. We actually were just talking about it. Domantas Sabonis.
Oh, wow.
Is my answer. Yeah, he's a high scorer, he's a high rebounder, but I don't think he gets quite enough love. And when he got traded from Indiana to Sacramento, everybody was just shitting on him as if the Kings didn't get anything in return for trading away Tyrese Halliburton. They were like, the Kings just gave away their future. How could they do this? Well, because they got a freaking all-star postman. That's why. I mean, good God, he can score so well down low. I mean, I just don't understand what people don't like about him.
No, yeah, people don't like him because he's not good at defense and he's too slow to play power forward. So people don't like him that. Yeah. But he's an all-star. He's the light. He's Nikola Jokic light. Like you get really nice playmaking out of this guy. You get 20 points per game. You do get a lot of rebounds. As we were just talking about, I mean, those don't come around easy, and Cat's been struggling for a while, and Sabonis just can get those rebounds. So, like, his just paint defense isn't the best. Like I said, if Jokic can figure it out, I think he can figure it out. They just need a defensive-minded coach is all.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I just, I've loved what I've seen from him in terms of his footwork and his ability in the post to get around guys. So I think, he can get there. And I think, this is a guy worth hanging your hat on because he's still only, 25 years old, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're trading for an old guy when you did that as the Kings. You brought in still a young guy, a guy who can be a star for you for years.
Yeah, and he's going to develop better next to DeAaron Fox than Tyrese Halliburton will develop next to DeAaron Fox. So there's that. But yeah, he's wonderful. Another great guy the Magic drafted that they just traded away because whatever. But I didn't actually think I still don't think he's an underrated player though. No, I think he is, just not nearly as much as all these other guys on the list. Definitely, for me, definitely not the most underrated player in the NBA. I think it's a little different now because he's a little more decorated than we've been talking about for years. Still has only made one All-Star game. He just now started getting recognized on defensive teams, and that's Drew Holiday. He's an older guy. I'd say he's the second. He has the second biggest impact on that Bucks team for when they win championships. Yes, Chris Middleton go out there, play good defense, and be that second scoring option, but he's really the defensive leader. He makes them a top 5 defense every year. Him and Giannis, granted, but he still does a lot. And I think nobody talks enough about this guy. I mean, hasn't even been drafted in our league yet. And we're on like the 5th round, so there's been 50 guys better than him.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I don't see Jrue Holiday as underrated. I feel like everybody knows he's a fantastic defender, but he is very underrated in terms of like people don't respect how long he's been around. They don't respect how great he's been. And offensively, he is absolutely underrated on that spectrum. But defensively, I feel like people know he's like the guy.
Yeah, well, so everyone knows he's one of the, but like it's kind of a crime that he's never in these defensive player of the year conversations because he's next to Giannis. But even when he was with the Pelicans, this guy was lockdown Dame. I'd say he was the reason the Pelicans moved past the Trailblazers that round. But that being said, he's also
making all defensive teams. I think like him not getting defensive player of the year recognition is more just because it always goes to a big man. And they decided this year to change that up. And the beneficiary of that was Marcus Smart.
Which, granted, I would say that Jrue Holiday is a better defensive player than Marcus Smart.
Better defensive season.
I think they're not going to count him because he's with Giannis for the defensive player of the year. But also, so what's underrated is people forget this guy's a 7 assists, 20 points per game. Like he's a scoring option, like a legit scoring option. Like he's not like he can take the ball. He's got step backs. Everyone forgets that. Like he's this genius smart. Yeah, and like people forget all about that. Oh, damn, he took OG Anunoby. He was on my list. But. That's why he's my underrated player. So, like, his defense, I do think he's the best defensive guard in the NBA, but his offense doesn't nearly get talked about enough. Nearly.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think his offense is very underrated. People pretty much just disregard him on that. And, like, I mean, he did make an all-star appearance when he was younger. And I feel like I feel like people just don't remember that. Like, we just have a younger, NBA audience. Like, me and you, we were, pretty young back then even, but I watched. I know you didn't, but, I mean, Jrue Holiday was a baller back then. He's a baller now.
You're right. Sorry, Fred is whining in my ear. Fred, this is the time, not the time. All right. This is not the time. This is the time to not do this. What do you guys think? Who's the most underrated player in the NBA? Comment below and tell us how wrong we are. Appreciate it. So,
Alright, strictly ball business. We went so hard for you, so you leave a comment on the tube.